Hello class, today I'm going to be talking to you about the Monet role for the lit circles. This is the Monet role. You should be able to see me and my computer screen. Okay, so for the Monet role, you'll be getting a sheet for your role and you need to read the instructions in detail because I am just giving you a brief overview right now, but that is not enough. You must read the instructions in detail to understand exactly what you need to do, okay? So what you're going to be doing prior to the lit circle meeting first is reading the section of the book for that lit circle meeting. So if it's for the first lit circle, then obviously you're going to be reading the first section of your book that goes with the first lit circle meeting. Okay, as you're reading it, I want you to maybe use your sticky notes to make notes on scenes or parts of the book that stand out to you. Okay, when you are done with reading that section of the novel for your lit circle, you are going to use this sheet of paper as your scrap paper. So you're going to be getting a sheet of paper that looks like this, and you're going to be using this front page as your scrap paper. In the end, you will have to have a final copy of your drawing. You cannot use just this scrap paper. Okay, so you're going to be creating a visual representation that represents something in the pages that you read for this lit circle. Okay, so what do I mean by that? A visual representation. It could be like you could draw a scene that was important from the section of the book that you're reading for this lit circle meeting. You can draw, like some kids in the past have done symbols that symbolize different things from that section of the book. If you are not a good drawer, you can make a collage of pictures. You can print out stuff, but it has to be like a collage. It can't be just like you picked one picture off the internet and printed that one picture and called it a day. That doesn't work. Okay. Remember that your work has to be project quality, just like everybody else's. Okay. So project quality. So this first page on your paper, like I said, you can use it as your scrap paper to kind of like sketch out your ideas or plan your ideas. But your final ideas have to be on either construction paper or computer paper, and they have to be of project quality. You want it to be something that can still fit into your group binder. So I would have the construction paper be like a regular size sheet of paper, or the computer paper would suffice because that's a regular size, but you want it to be able to fit into your binder, your group binder. If you want in class, ask me to show you some student examples of the drawings that they have done in the past, because I do have some past examples of drawings and stuff that other kids have done. But okay, so you're going to be thinking of something that represents like what you've read in that section of the book. Like I said, it could be a scene, it could be different symbols. Okay, so like see, this says remember here that your illustration must be like on regular like construction paper or computer paper, not just the scrap paper. If you just throw this scrap paper in there and call that your drawing, you will not get points for the drawing. Okay, it has to be of project quality, like I said. Okay, so basically what you're going to be doing is you're going to be turning in two things into your group binder. You're going to be turning in this packet of paper that you got for the Monet and your final drawing or your final visual representation. All right, so when you're done with your final visual representation, you are also going to analyze what you drew or the picture that you created. Okay, so it's not like you're just drawing a picture and that's the end of the day. Okay, you have to actually explain it. So you must explain it thoroughly. If you read it here, remember, like I said, you must read these instructions. It says it must be at least 8 to 11 sentences at the minimum. You can have more than that, but you can't have less than 8 to 11 sentences. When you do that, you need to explain your decisions. Okay, explain why did you choose the colors. First explain what your picture is, because although your picture might be beautiful and I can tell what it is, it's your job as the Monet role to explain to me what you drew or what you created as your visual representation. So explain to me what it is that the picture is. Explain to me why did you choose those colors, or if you did symbols, explain the symbolism. I chose this, and explain what it is and tell why did you choose it. What does it symbolize in the book? If you read here, it tells you what you're supposed to do. So make sure that you're very thorough in your explanation of your drawing and how it like relates to the story. Okay. You're being graded on, look, it says it should be thorough, detailed explanation. Everything you write is being graded for grammar, so make sure you proofread your grammar. Make sure that you check your clauses, put the proper punctuation between your clauses, proofread your paper going this way and this way, like I've shown you, front, forwards and backwards, like I've shown you in class. Make sure there's no contractions. Do not start sentences with and or but, things like that. Make sure that your sentences are complete. They make sense and you're thorough in what you are explaining. You have to thoroughly explain your choices in your drawing. Why did you pick those colors? Why did you pick that scene? Why is that scene important? What did you draw? Things like that. Okay. So that's what you put there. Then the last thing that you do is you're going to come up with a discussion question pertaining to your drawing or your illustration, okay, your visual representation. What I mean by discussion question, I do not mean fact recall. Fact recall is like when you say, okay, what was Bobby wearing in that scene? Well, we can see in the drawing, like that's a fact recall. If I can look it up in the book, that's a fact recall. Or what happened in that scene? Well, that's a fact recall. I can look that up in the book. Okay, so what's a discussion question? What's a discussion question? Once again, read these instructions carefully. It tells you more detail. But a discussion question gets your group discussing and thinking. For example, you could have them put themselves in the character's feet, ask them, like, if you were in this situation, and describe what the situation is. If you were in this situation, how would you have handled it? Would you have handled it differently? If so, why? Ask them to explain themselves. They can't just say yes or no. They need to explain themselves. Like, can you relate to this? Do you know someone who could relate to this? Something like that. Something to get the group discussing, or what did you think about this scene? What were your opinions about it? Make sure that everybody in your group answers, okay? You get everyone it's your job to make sure everybody answers your question, okay? Once again, proofread your question for grammar. Grammar counts. If it's a question, it has to obviously end in a question mark too. Okay, then in this next part, you're going to answer your question. So you're going to pretend someone asked you the question and now you're answering it. When you answer it, make sure your answer is thorough, meaning more than one sentence. You're answering yourself in a very thorough manner. And once again, proofread your answer for grammar, because every grammar mistake you make, it's minus points. Okay, so this first discussion question directly pertains to your drawing. And once again, you answer yourself. Then you're going to come up with, this is your last thing that you do. You come up with your, let me make sure that's the last thing you do. The last thing you do is you come up with a second discussion question. This time, it doesn't have to be particularly about your illustration or your visual representation. It can just be from that section of the book that you were supposed to read for that circle. So if it's Lit Circle 1, it could be something from anything to do with what pages you had to read for Lit Circle 1. Now, once again, it cannot be a fact recall question, cannot be something we could just look up in the book. Have your group make it a question that your group can discuss and maybe relate to, or have them analyze how they would feel about it. Pick a different part of that section that you were supposed to read to have them give their opinion about it or something to that effect. Have them discuss it. So once again, your discussion question will be graded for grammar, proofread it for grammar, and then lastly, you're going to answer your discussion question again, just like someone was asking you it. Well, how would you answer it? Make sure that your answer is thorough and it's more than one sentence, and you proofread it for grammar as well. Okay? So what you're going to turn into your group binder, remember, your work must be turned in before the meeting starts, okay? Before the day of the meeting. So whatever the last class day is before the meeting, your work has to be in your group binder, because if you don't have it for that meeting day, there's no point. Remember, there's no late work. There's no point having your work to share after the fact, because the whole point is that you share it with your group. Your group gets to see it during that meeting time. If you have it after the fact, there's no point. I'm not grading it. There's no late work on this, okay? So make sure all your work is turned into the group binder of the class before the meeting date, okay? That's without a doubt. So the things that you're turning into your group binder in your section of your group binder is this sheet where you wrote, like you sketched on and you had your discussion questions and you had your analysis. Remember, your analysis, that's being graded off of here. So make sure it's, neat and proofread and everything like that. This whole packet of paper that goes in there, and then your drawing or your visual representation will go on top of that into the group binder, okay, in your section. All right. If you have questions, rewatch this video or ask me in class. I'm ending the video.